Box score: Miami, despite having a winning record 10 games into an 11-game road trip that will take them to the All-Star break, the Phillies have not scorched the baseball. Sure, they scored 17 runs in beating Pittsburgh in the first game of the trip, but in 9 games since then, they have scored just 24 runs. On Saturday, the offense ground to a halt and the Phils were shut out 2-0 by the Miami Marlins. It was the first time the Phillies had lost a game started by Aaron Nola since June 6. It was also the second time they had been shut out in the last 4 games. Nola had a fairly amazing start. He labored through the first inning and gave up 3 hits, a walk and 2 runs while throwing 31 pitches. Over the next 5 innings, however, he gave up just 1 hit and no runs while throwing an economical 62 pitches. In other words, he rebounded well and kept his team in the game. The offense just could not generate any runs. The Phils had 8 hits on the day, but 7 of them were singles. The Marlins had just 4 hits. Miami right-hander Trevor Richards gave up just 4 hits over 6 innings and got the win. The Phillies' best chance at getting something going came in the 5th inning. Jorge Alfaro led off with a double and moved to third on a bunt by Nola. With 2 outs, Rhys Hoskins lined a ball to the gap in right center. The ball had extra base hit written all over it until center fielder Cameron Maybin sprinted from his position and made a nice leaping catch at the wall. The Phillies showed some signs of life with a pair of hits in the 9th, but they stranded both men. Nola had not taken a loss since May 20 at St. Louis. He goes into the All-Star break at 12-3 with a 2.30 ERA in 20 starts. Nola will be the Phillies' lone representative at the All-Star game in Washington Tuesday night. He is expected to pitch an inning. The Phils, 6-4 on the trip, can still win the series with a victory Sunday. Aniel de los Santos gets the start against Jose Arena. Zach Eflin was originally scheduled to start but was scratched because of a blister. More on the Phillies. Miami. Phillies president Andy MacPhail is surprised by the team's success. I was hoping for and expected that we would have meaningful, measurable progress, and I think what we've done to this point exceeds meaningful, measurable progress, he said before Saturday's game against the Miami Marlins. Just the fact that we're a game and a half in first place exceeds my expectations. With the team's window of contention opening a year before many expected, club officials are reacting. We are in a different situation than we anticipated and we have to act accordingly. MacPhail said, I know, General Manager Matt Klentak and his group is doing exactly that. We are in a position where we need to try to augment our current group to try to preserve our place in the standings for as long as we can. Klentak and his lieutenants are busy pursuing trade opportunities. The Phils would love to land slugging left side infielder Manny Machado and lefty closer Zach Britton from the Baltimore Orioles. See story. Competition for the 2 players is intense. The Phillies have built some good depth of quality prospects in their minor league system and are willing to part with some of it to land Machado and/or Britton. There are even indications that the Phils would do a deal for Machado without immediately signing the free agent to be to a contract extension, though Machado's contract status would certainly affect the price the Phillies were willing to pay. It's all a complicated balance of present versus future because as much as the Phillies want to win this season, they want to sustain the winning for a decade. It's an inexact science, MacPhail said. You try to ascertain as best you can what is immovable and where you have areas where you are giving up talent but you have enough in the system to absorb that. It's what you can afford to do and what you can't, because our stated goal and our directive from ownership is to be in a position where postseason potential isn't just a one-and-out type of thing. John Middleton, the Phillies' managing partner, is aggressive and eager to win. But he is also level-headed. He has been portrayed in some media reports as looking to make a splash. MacPhail scoffed at that. John wants to win, MacPhail said. John wants to sustain winning. But John is not an excite the town at any cost guy. My view is that he's smart and he's realistic. I think I've done a good job of explaining the importance of an organization and progress, and he's seen that. He's not willing to give up too much of that just to make a splash. Someone wrote the other day that ownership wants to make a splash. Let me tell you something about John Middleton. He's not an splash guy for something that doesn't make sense. I can promise you that. McPhail is fond of saying that, in the baseball business, the fans will let you know how you are doing with their choosing to buy tickets or not. Despite their success, the Phils rank 4th from the bottom in the National League in average attendance at 26,740 per game. McPhail said he was not surprised by the attendance and he believes there are factors behind it. First, the team was not projected to be a top contender. Second, there is competition for the entertainment dollar. Philly is a good sports town and you have to make some allowances, he said. These are not excuses, but you have to make some allowances. There's only so much disposable income that people have. Let's be honest, the Eagles and the Sixers sucked some of that out before we even threw a pitch. I need to build an organization on the baseball and business side that is going to sustain success and make us a competitive product for years to come and an attractive place to come for years to come. More on the Phillies. The Phillies' golden era has been over for quite some time, but this month sure felt like the final chapter, with Jason Worth, Shane Victorino and Chase Utley all announcing their retirements. Utley will play out the rest of this season, but the conversation quickly shifts to his Hall of Fame candidacy. I'm assuming a good number of Phillies fans will disagree, but in my opinion, Utley's resume falls just short. His peak just wasn't long enough. From 2005 to 10, Utley was an incredible all-around baseball player. He hit for average, hit for power, took his walks, was the sport's most savvy and efficient base runner, and he had above-average range at second base. That 6-year peak can be put up against the peak of any second baseman in baseball history. The postseason successes and Utley's legendary work ethic only add to it. But you can't be selective about these things. When acknowledging Utley's magnificent peak, you must also account for the mediocre second half of his career. From 2011 to 14, Utley's last full season as a Philly, he hit .269, .347, .433 and missed 176 games. Decent numbers, but not Utley at his peak. From 2015 to 18, he's hit .235, .310, .377 as a part-time player. All in all, Utley's OPS has been league average over his last 3,500 plate appearances. You just can't dismiss that. I brought this up Friday on Twitter and one of the replies was that a 5-year run was good enough for Sandy Koufax to make it. But Koufax had maybe the best 5-year run of any starting pitcher ever, going 111-34 with a 1.95 ERA and 0.93 WHIP and 3 Cy Young awards in his final 5 seasons. If Utley had a bonkers run like that with a couple MVP awards, this is a different conversation. One determinant I like to use with the Hall of Fame is, can the story of baseball be told without this player? Because of his peak, the Phillies' 2008 World Series and his record-setting '09 World Series, the story of baseball cannot be told without Utley. And yet it still feels like he'll fall just short. Longtime statistician Bill James has a formula called the Hall of Fame Monitor, which weighs different career stats to measure a player's likelihood of making the Hall. A score of 100 is seen as a likely Hall of Famer. Utley is at 94, that feels about right. Very good career, and one that means more to Philadelphians than it does to anybody anywhere else. Utley just wasn't that same dynamic player over a long enough portion of his career. The serious knee injuries were the major reason why. Without them, we might be talking about a first-ballot Hall of Famer. More on the Phillies.